This call is being recorded.
Welcome to A Winning Cup, you guys. Today with me, I have Christine from Life with Passion. And Christine also has a podcast. For those of you that don't know about Christine's story, way back when, it's in the archives now. I admit that because way back when I got to interview Christine about life and starting a business, and so go back, you guys, go back and listen to that one, and then listen to this one, and go back, listen to the old one, and then listen to the new one because it's a really interesting story how she began life with passion. And we may get into that, I don't know, but I want Miss Christine take it away and share her story. And yes, she also has a podcast. So I'm telling you guys right now, if you've been listening to this podcast, you have to go binge listen to Christine's.
Oh, thank you, Lynn. I'm so excited to be back. This is a full circle moment for me because you were the very first person who interviewed me on a podcast. And that was almost 5 years ago. And now I've been on over 100 podcasts. I have my own top podcast like you. And I have the privilege of getting to teach other people how to be great guests. And you helped me start that journey. So thank you.
I feel like I'm doing something right. I feel like I am doing something right in the sense of maybe I'm bringing the good stories out of people and they don't even know it. And then they take the ball and run with it. No, you guys, I'm actually, I help people either take the ball and run with it or set up podcasts of their own. I'm so used to doing work for other people or just being interviewed. It's not even funny. So that is that. So that said, why did you start? For those of you that don't know um, Christine and the story, she started life with passion. And so why? Take us back to why. I know you did it over the years with me, why. But because I get new listeners every single day, and because your audience will be listening to this too, who might be referred to your podcast or might be referred to you in the years and cycles. We need to figure out why.
Yeah. So I started Life with Passion as a way of honoring and creating a legacy for my daughter who passed away. I was already a successful entrepreneur. I was running a digital marketing agency and I was booked out and I was comfortable. But when she unexpectedly passed away at full term stillbirth, it set me on a path of taking a look at my life and what I was doing and how I could make a greater impact in the world and how I could create a legacy for her. And so I hired my first coach to help me figure out what that was. And out of that came my kind of combining my experiences as a university professor and as a career counselor and as a marketer and my passion for helping other people become successful entrepreneurs. And so out of those experiences, Life with Passion was born.
Well, that's great to leave a legacy with passion, no pun intended, to leave a legacy with passion and step away from the corporate world. I know in 2020 it was a whirlwind for all of us because we were all looking at working from home and we were all looking at our lives. Really, do we want to be here? Do we want to be living our lives to the fullest, or do we want to be living our lives stuck? And so I want to know from you, well, of course, COVID impacted all of us, and it still does, but how did you handle the influx of people transferring over if they did?
Yeah, so it's an interesting question. I mean, when this all started, my living children were 3 and 9 months. And all of the sudden, all of the help that I had lined up for them and what I felt was a perfect situation for them to get childcare, it lasted literally one day. I had one day of it before everything closed. And so it threw me for such a loop because now I was trying to figure out how to run a six-figure business and support my clients all over the world if and when my children took a nap. And my husband became an essential worker, providing like um, uh, emergency, medical supplies, and then helping to get the vaccine from one place to another. And so he was working 7 days a week. And we were at home and we were healthy. And in terms of our work and schedules and life, like that stuff got totally turned upside down. And so it took me a couple months to figure out how I was going to live and work the way that I want to work and continue to help people. And what came out of that was that honestly, like I joined a mastermind that scared me so massively that I had no choice but to figure out how to take quick, imperfect action. And it also really shifted my mindset to be around people who were finding all of this success instead of going, oh, woe is me. I don't know how to run a business in this circumstance when everything has changed and the world is terrified and I'm scared. And so let's focus on that versus like you said, everyone's come home. People who are healthy are looking for a way to make a greater impact and take greater control of their lives. And so how can I serve them? So really last summer, my business began to take off at a new level with the help of my mentors. And then as I began to show up bigger to serve those people.
Yeah. And so, what is your favorite podcast episode that you've done so that my team can go march right over to Apple Podcast and go listen to it?
Oh, thank you. And I
Yeah.
appreciate that.
Yes.
So it's actually, I think, I would have to say the most recent uh, episode that we just released, um, about me interviewing my friend Matt Klemmer, who is like an incredibly gifted tattoo artist who just has such a heart for people and helping them be themselves. And so it's episode number 42, how to make or add six figures to your tattoo business. But really, it's about, if you listen, it's just about his amazing story and his take on the world and just how he kind of serves people at every level. And it's just a fantastic conversation.
So, that said, what has been the biggest challenge for you starting a podcast? Because you got to remember, you guys, and I'm very honored to say this, I was Christine's first interview. Christine had never done this, and I think we said, be nice to Christine, and now I'm watching her take the ball and run with it. So that what has been the biggest challenge?
Yeah, it's such a good question. I really had to figure out how to do it in a way that was right for me and that felt fun for me. Because while I was going on 100 other people's podcasts, a lot of people were telling me, oh, you would be a great podcast host. You should start your own. And for a long time, it really felt like pressure. Like, oh, if I start it now, I'm just going to be stressed about coming up with the episodes and getting them edited or paying somebody else to do it, and just all the little details that I was like, I'm not going to do this until I can find a way to make it really, really fun. And that took me 3.5 years to figure out. And then one day it finally clicked of like, here's exactly how I can do it on my terms. Here are the things that I want to talk about. Here's what the process is going to be like. And it's different than a lot of people's. And so I think that was the thing that took me years to figure out. That was the biggest challenge, was really like, how do I do this in a way that's right for me, rather than like, which is really, about everything in my life, right? Like, instead of the cookie cutter approach that people say you should do.
Yeah, instead of the cookie cutter approach people say that you should do it for you, not do it for everyone else. And what I want to ask you is, what was your biggest lesson during the pandemic?
I think I would say is that we always have a choice in how we look at things. I am actually, let me count, 11 days from getting a positive COVID test myself. I just had COVID, and I caught it from somebody who was fully vaccinated. And so it was very surprising and terrifying, right? Because we've been so careful and we followed all of the rules. And so, a week and a half ago, I was like, I have no idea. I just had my biggest month in business ever in May. And then I was like, I have no idea how I'm going to fulfill the promises and the commitments I just made to these clients, how I'm going to provide for my team who depends on me, to pay their bills. I don't know if I'm going to be in the hospital in a week, and like, how am I going to choose to show up every day in that uncertainty with a choice of like, I literally can choose to take this a day at a time. And I can literally choose to clear everything off of my calendar that I don't want to do so that I can rest. And if that changes tomorrow, it can change tomorrow. But I think, because when the world closed, I went to a very self-imposed dark place because I was terrified of the unknown, because I was worried about my kids, because I probably have more anxiety than the average person about something happening to one of my living children since I lost a child already. And just this fear and overwhelm, right? And then, kind of getting back into an empowered place of like, oh, it's really bad for some people, and it's been a positive in some ways for other people, and that's just part of it. And then, as everything's opening back up, then I catch it, right? I think it's just like, we always have a choice, and I'm here, and I've been faced with my own mortality over the past 10, 11 days in a way that I probably haven't ever really felt. And every day I'm like, okay, what am I going to do with that? I get to choose,
Yeah, no. And it's amazing to me, and you bring up a good point, and I'm going to say this, and I will say this loud and clear on my podcast, loud and clear. I have seen people. I have seen people on a daily basis. I actually see people on a daily basis who I don't know if they have been vaccinated or not. I pretty much am, and they know this too. I am pretty much hibernating right now down in Arizona because number one, I'm in the midst of a move still, even though it doesn't seem like it. But I won't be completely done with my move until next year. Next year, the way it's looking, I won't be completely done with my move until next year. But that being said, you can get the vaccine. You can get the vaccine and still get COVID and still give it to people. So this, I won't get the vaccine because I am afraid of COVID. I won't get the vaccine and the anti-vaxxers. You can get the vaccine and still get COVID. You have to be really, 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 and I emphasize really careful. And so this gallivanting around the planet, this I won't wear a mask because it impacts my breathing. When you have cerebral palsy, you shouldn't be wearing a mask because it impacts your neurological condition. I don't give a SHIT what you guys think. I am trying to stay as careful as you, Christine, and yet you still got COVID.
Crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's nuts. It's nuts. So people that look at me like, oh, Win, you're crazy for wearing a mask, and they don't know when the mask mandate is lifted. And when the mask, you're crazy for wearing, you're crazy for being in your house, well, not 24/7, but basically in your house. No, I'm not, because I am 100% healthy. So I just want you guys to take that story into account and take my criticism into account, because those of you who look at me and look at Christine like we're nuts. We're not nuts. Go jump in the lake, and we're trying our hardest to manage all lives and manage all companies and keep sanity. That is all. That is all the box of it. And so, if you had the opportunity to transplant your brain into someone else's body, who would it be and why? And yes, they could be dead or alive.
Ooh, my brain, myself into a different body?
Yes.
Ooh, I like it. Who would it be really fun to walk around as and see how it feels to be in their body? Such a good question. The name of my podcast is No One's Ever Asked Me That, Win, and you just asked me a question that no one's ever asked me before, so thank you. For the sake of not sitting here for 20 minutes debating, I think I would pick somebody that I think is like perfectly beautiful. And somebody that I think, because I think I grew up telling myself a story about how, like, my looks are ordinary and, I wish I looked like this person, or I wish I had that, or I wish I had this different, or whatever. And I think that's still a story from my childhood, even though I know so many people of every shape, size, and type. And I'm like, we all have our things that we wish were different. Doesn't matter if we look perfect on the outside. I feel like if I lived a day in let's say like a supermodel's body or something, like maybe like Giselle or something like that, maybe it would finally cure me of that little part in the back of my brain that's like, yeah, but their life really is better. And just be like, no, we're all human. Love yourself more. the way that you are with all of your imperfections and flaws and embrace them and like just be here and be here.
Now, as we wrap this interview up, because I know you got to go, but do you have any questions for me? Number one, what is the name of your podcast, just in case people want listening to that? And where could your podcast be found? I presume on all audio platforms, but all audio platforms are different nowadays. So where could you and your podcast be found? And do you have any questions for me?
Yeah, I would love to ask you some questions if that's okay.
Yes, go ahead.
What do you think is the most important thing we can do to create a globally inclusive space for people of all abilities in the online business world?
Well, you could, and I'm saying this one, you could actually hire a team of disabled. You can actually incorporate them in your business, incorporate us into your business. Hello. It not only gives us a chance of fulfilling purpose, but it also helps you guys. And train a disabled person once, they will do it to a T until it gets done. So it may take a little repetition of reinforcement, but train a disabled person once and it will stay with you for the rest of your life. I have a friend who is coming down for my birthday, and I say coming down because now I'm in Phoenix, Arizona, where I moved to, and she's known me and supported me for 33 years. And so I just feel like if you can give those disabled kids a job, you're number one in my book, because that's how we're going to break the stigma of disabilities.
I love that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, what other questions do I have for Wynn? Where, because I know this is one of your specialties and expertises, areas of expertise. Where do you see the future of education going?
Oh boy.
Specifically for people of different abilities, or where would you like to see it go? Like, what do you think would be best?
I would actually like to see one, special education teachers all across this country get paid higher than they actually do. That's number one. Two, I would love to see them outside the classroom getting paid by the schools to help these kids, because you never know what goes on after school. You never know what goes on. I mean, I have I have many retired educators in my Rolex, and it's like, okay, the kid goes home at the end of the day with, I don't know, maybe a drunken parent who needs help wrangling the kid with autism, or wrangling the kid with Asperger's, or wrangling the kid with cerebral palsy, or I don't know, maybe these after school programs don't have the resources for the special ed crowd, so they just sit in the corner and color. It would be nice if we could bring special ed into these after school programs and outside the classroom to give these teachers a little bit of a stipend to help these kids in their home environments or in after school program, because I know that these kids are suffering. I know that. I've watched it. I've been a part of this COVID thing, and it's sad to me that when the school lunch program goes down and all these kids are relying on that school lunch program, especially the special ed kids, the teacher can't come to their home and deliver the books, let alone the lunch, let alone sit with them or look at them through a window without being chastised by the school.
Yeah, it makes a ton of sense. Yeah.
And there are days that these kids don't want to go into the classroom. And sometimes these kids need a loving, helping hand, especially when you're dealing with Zoom and when you're dealing. So why not bring, let's say, off the top of my head, why not bring the teacher's aide to music into the home and have them assist the special ed kid? Why not bring these teachers into the homes of these underprivileged kids, these special ed kids, these community literate kids, and just love and support them in their own environment? Thank you very much. Instead of saying, well, did little Susie Q do the homework? If not, that's fine. But here's the next lesson. And I know that teachers are trying. I know that. Don't give me that monkey business. I know that. But at the same time, we've got a problem. We've got technology and we got the human interaction. Yeah. So that's my little spiel, because I think the education system, because of COVID, has changed forever.
Totally. And what is your message of encouragement and hope for those of us who, we want to make a difference in the world? We want to make it better for everyone.
Go volunteer in a special needs classroom. Go volunteer in a neurotypical, neurodiverse home. Go give clothes at Christmas to a neurodiverse home. Go decorate a Christmas tree. Yes, I said a Christmas tree. Go give be a pen pal with someone with a special need. And now, Glenna, I have a friend who said, give me your address, because on the occasion I send cards and Christmas cards and all that. And I am so used to technology that actually reading the card every once in a while would be nice. So that's my thing is, things open back up, and just call and say, how can I help? How can I help these homes? And we're not talking about a homeless shelter either. We're talking about deep diving into special ed. We're talking about deep diving. Those of you who are counselors, those of you who are career coaches, those of you who are life coaches, those of you just go volunteer your time in the special ed realm and maybe pull someone out to help your company who has a need and who has a who needs a second chance, and just love on them. It's not. It doesn't take a rocket scientist. It's not like we need to load the van full of special needs kids and take them to the library. We need to sit with them and let them open up. Let them open up. Let them understand that we're fine with special ed kids. Let them open up to us. Let them have the bad days and just love on them. It doesn't need to be this big deal, which people think it. Let's load up in the van. Let's go out. How about we slow down? We color pictures with them. We interact with biotechnology. We let them sing to us. That's a concept. We let them go to the gym with us virtually. We let them live life on their own terms. We just support them. And when I say we, I mean you guys, and I'll support special ed all day long, and people will support me all day long too, and be there for me. And I don't know if you guys know this. Those of you who are new, I lost my mom to my biological mom to meningitis, and I lost my dad to lung cancer. I have men and women alike supporting me through and through. And some men and some women will catch me on my bad days. And when I fall over, they will somehow pick me back up and put me back together again up the end great fall. And so, but all in all, we must get connected with the next generation of special ed to make this world an inclusive place.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. I mean, that's for no one to ever ask you this on your podcast. I think you should interview, and it won't be me. I think you should do a series on special ed, and I think you should do a series on the inspirational stories behind special ed, all the inspirational stories of losing a child or something like that. Because losing a child, I don't know. Well, you, my old listeners, those of you who've been hanging out around me long enough, know that I'm a miracle baby in more ways than one. And I think that I got cerebral palsy because of my prematurity, but I also think my mom had 5 miscarriages. 5 miscarriages before she had me. And so I also think that her womb was a little traumatized. So putting a child, me, in that womb said, no, thank you. Spat me out early because I was born, and now my old listeners don't know this, but I was born at 26 weeks. I was supposed to be born in September, born in June. And so 26 weeks is teensy weensy, 1 pound, 15 ounces. So I think that having those losses of a still child at birth, I think some of us need to reflect on that and whether we should put another child in the world, or some of us can, some of us can't. Um, I'm reflecting on something right now that I will tell you guys something at a later date after I reflect on it. It's been creeping up in my life, but let me just reflect on it and then I will tell you guys. But I think dealing with the situations head on, dealing with the still life and doing what you did, Christine, creating a passion for life is something that I admire. And I'm not just saying it to be nice, but you faced it head on. And I just think some of us need to sit there and comfort the grieving, not say, oh, just because it's time of COVID means you get to not see anyone now that things are opening up. In the time of grieving, people should go be with each other in small, intimate gatherings.
Yeah. Yeah, that's powerful.
So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. And as I said, please go back and listen to episode number 1 of Christine. Go back and listen to just this episode. We had a powerful conversation. And as I said, it's passionforlife.com. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Lifewithpassion.com. You got it. You got all the words, just a different order. Yeah.
That's different order. Different order. I knew that. But lifewithpassion.com. And I'm presuming the podcast is connected to that.
Yeah, it's everywhere. Everywhere you listen to podcasts. No one's ever asked me that.
Yeah, it's everywhere. And so I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I certainly did. And until next time, you guys have a great day. Bye, you guys.